Okay, Angelina Baker just keeps on baking. Hope you had some success with last week's variation. As we said, these types of bluegrass tunes that come from across the sea and were probably originally played on violins. They're short and to the point, so it's really all about the variations. In the bluegrass world, they can take a song like this and play it in a jam for 15, 20 minutes, just going around giving everybody a shot, and everybody kind of adds their own little bit of color to it. And so that's really at the very core of what happens in bluegrass music. It's really all about the variations. Let's take this simple little tune. It's a lot like jazz, except that jazz harmonically is much more complicated. Jazz players, will take a song and play it one time through, and then what happens the next 20 times through is everybody's just playing their variation, their improvisation. And that's really the same thing here. So really the jazz players and the bluegrass players are doing the exact same thing. It's just that, to be honest, the harmonic structure of the bluegrass tunes tends to be far simpler. In saying that, that is not at all meant to be demeaning. It's just simply a fact that the harmonies and chords in the bluegrass tunes are much simpler than those in the jazz tunes. So there's a little background. So what we're going to talk about today is the lower. When we first learned the tune, we learned it in 2 octaves. We're going to talk about the lower octave today. That one down there. Okay, so looking at the variation, we start right away with the double note, the open D and the open A. Then we have a filler right there, that low D. Fill. One thing I want to stress is that when you're playing this, one of the things that you're striving to do is play it in such a manner that the open strings continue to ring. So as you play and you continue on, you want to try to make sure that the heel of your hand doesn't deaden out the strings and you lose that drone. So it's important when you're playing that to be extremely conscious of that, and I think we've talked about that before. You hear that drone continue to ring, and that's why we keep hitting that low D whenever we have an opportunity, because we want that to fill the sound. Lots of open strings there. We get to the second full measure, we have a hammer on. In the original, it just would have been playing that note like that, as opposed to, once again, it's not really a hammer on. Well, it is a hammer on in technique, but musically it's a grace note, which we talked about really doesn't take up any time. It's meant to happen fast. Then another open D. So let me play it with and without the grace note so you can hear the difference. 1, 2, 3. So that's without the grace note. Pretty obvious, right? Without. With. So we'll continue on. get to that last measure, once again the double. So that's that first line, 1, 2, 3. Once again, I'm going to keep reminding you, you want to work on a technique in the right side that your right hand sort of floats above the strings. So play that slow enough so that you can keep that right hand from muting the strings. The other thing that you can do with the right hand to add some color is experiment with where you're playing. Are you playing close to the bridge? In which case you're getting a very bright sound, as opposed to the more mellow up by the sound hole. Either is fine, but once again, it's just a way to add color to something that is harmonically fairly simple. I'm going to play that first line two different ways as far as tone. Now closer to the bridge. Okay, so I think hopefully that obvious difference comes through on the recording. We get to the second measure. In the original, we just would have played the second fret there, the B note, but here we have once again a grace note. Then a little arpeggio. And what we're trying to do there is establish the change in harmony there. And at that point, the song goes to a G chord. So what we're doing, we're kind of adding these G notes in there, and this one down here, so that we can hear that it's changed to a G chord there. So once again, lots of G chord happening there. And we continue on with the open 2. I'll play it from the beginning to there. 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Continues on the second measure. So the 1, 2, 3, the fourth note in that open A, that's what we've added in that measure. And then that open A. Play from the beginning to there to hear it in context. 1, 2, 3. When I'm doing this initial demonstration, probably a good idea, a good thing to do first of all, is to actually just look at the page as I'm playing through it and follow along with your eyes and see where things are happening. And also that gives you, allows you to gain some familiarity with the variation before you're playing it. I'm going to play it to that point one more time. Get to the third measure in line 2, we have one of those grace notes again, just hammering real fast from 2 to 3, 2 to 4, and then a trill. So that's a hammer on and a pull off. followed by the open string. So we have bum, 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 bum. Then another open A, followed by another 2nd fret E. Let me play it to that point now. 1, 2, 3. Kind of missed my trill though. We get to the first line, first measure in line 3. It's the same thing, that hammer. From the beginning to there, 1, 2, 3. First ending, then we repeat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the first section with the repeat and go into the second ending. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time, then we'll go into the second part. 1, 2, 3. Section. Before we go into the next section, I'm going to play the first section just a little bit faster, just to let you hear the sound when it's sped up a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Continuing on, we get to the 4th line down, the beginning of the next section. We have the chord. Once again, we want everything to ring as we play through that. Hear everything ringing there. Second measure, and then we have our little hammer-on pull-off again. I'm going to play it from the pickup being the last 2 notes in line 3. That's the pickup to the beginning of line 4. So whenever I play the second section, I'm always going to start from the pickup, which is the last 2 notes in line 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Continuing on. get to line 5, and once again we're trying to identify the G chord there. Right? Let me play it to there with the pickup. 1, 2, 3. Then I play the line 5, the last 2 notes in measure 1. We start with that 4. You can really use whatever finger you find comfortable. I just go right to the second finger, because it's right there. Second measure, line 5, which is really the same as the first measure in line 4. Okay, I'm going to play, I just played right through that because there's really nothing that tricky happening there. I'm going to play, from the pickup, I'm going to play the second section of the song with the repeat. 1, 2, 3. So what I'm going to do now is give you a couple of playthroughs, starting from the beginning, obviously, right? That was brilliant. A couple of playthroughs, fairly slow, so that you have those. Here we go, from the beginning with repeats. Once again, sometimes it's good just to have the music in hand and just make sure that you can follow visually what's going on. That's why I try to play them slow enough so that your eyes can follow. And even while you're doing it, trying to hum along and sing along with what I'm playing can make a huge difference. So when you're playing the guitar, really think about your approach to the music itself. Yes, we do need technical abilities in order to accomplish the things we want to play, but it's also so important that the music is sort of in you, that you can sort of anticipate what it is that you're trying to play. So here we go, a couple of playthroughs. 1, 2, 3. So hopefully that will be enough to get you through this lower section. We'll probably do just a teeny bit more in the song. Just a couple of more minor variations just so you have them. And then we will move on and we'll stay in the bluegrass vein for a while. It's one of my favorite things to play, and it's also really good for technique building. So one of the things that you want to strive for as you're learning these is, to gradually build up the speed. So that's the nice thing about them harmonically being fairly simple, that you can work on just building up the speed. And remember, the real key to building up speed is relaxation. So you really have to focus in on that. I really can't stress that enough. You just have to be conscious of your body. You have to be conscious of your hands. You have to be conscious of your muscles, what's going on the right and left side. Breathe through your nose as often as you can, not through your mouth. Really, because that increases oxygen flow much more than mouth breathing. So just think about those kind of things when you're playing, and it will help. Okay, any questions? You know where to find me. Bye-bye.